Hey Revolutionaries, it's 2022. Yes, it's 2022, and I'm excited to bring you this kickoff episode for the year. Thank goodness, because 2021 just seemed like it was, let's just say, uncomfortable for me all year. I don't know if that rings true with any of you, but it does. And but I'm excited about this new kickoff episode because I'm digging into mantras, and I want all of you listening to dig into mantras as well, because I know it will help you on your journey of reinvention. But before we get to the episode, I just wanted to say a quick thank you and welcome. So thank you for everyone who's been listening out there the last few years and who's listening to this episode now. And if there's any new people that are listening for the first time, welcome. And I just wanted to say to both of you all out there, if you haven't gone to the website yet and signed up for the email list, please do. It's JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com, and you can click on the email list to sign up. And if you do, you will get an email to you immediately, at least overnight or something like that, my guide that I put together, 7 simple ways to prime your mind for reinvention. So I know it's January and people are thinking about, what might be different this year. Well, now's the time to dig into these things, and it's got 7 simple ways to help crack your mind open, okay, just crack it open and be available to and more open to change. And one of the things listed in there is my pocket mantras. It's a book, and that's what I'm going over on today's podcast for the kickoff. So check it out, and you'll have that reference, all the reference material you need. So after you listen to this episode, you'll be ready to dig into it. So that's what you need to do. Go to the website, JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com, and sign up. Okay, so let's do this thing.
Welcome to Jim Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast, the show that explores reinvention in the digital age as it relates to career, creativity, and technology. Stay tuned for interviews with professionals, entrepreneurs, and creatives that have reimagined success and are making a pivot. If you'd like to listen to the entire back catalog, visit JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com for instant access. And now, here's your host, Jim Jim.
Hey everybody, this is Jim Jim, and welcome to episode 90 of Jim Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast. And it's 2022. Yes, it's time to kick off 2022. And I'm going to kick it off by digging into mantras for everybody. Yes, mantras. Yes, it's and they're coming from the book My Pocket Mantras by Tanaz Chubb. So if you're out there and familiar with the website, you can find this book on the website, JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com. Yeah, JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com. On the resources page, if you go there, you can find it, and you can click through and buy it from Amazon. It's a great little book that I found, and there's a reason why I'm super excited about it for 2022. One of the reasons is I think it's going to be a breakout year for everyone, and you need to be prepared. Okay? And the way to do it is with mantras. And you know what has informed this was things that happened in 2021 for me. So before we get to the mantras and we get to this kickoff, which I'm going to give you 7 mantras and a bonus mantra, and then a super bonus mantra at the end. So stick around for those. But before we get there, I wanted to ask everyone a question. I want to think back about 2021. So if you listen to my kickoff episode for 2021, I gave you 21 points of positivity for 21 because I just was not feeling it. I was, we had just gotten through this early part of the pandemic, and I just wasn't super excited to kick off 21, and I just wanted to focus on positivity. And as it turns out, 2021 was just a super uncomfortable year for me. And I don't know if this resonates with others out there. I think likely it might, but it just was super uncomfortable. I mean, nothing super devastating happened to me, thank goodness, knock on wood. But, the pandemic and all the changes in the world and the changes in my personal life, the whole year was uncomfortable for me. So my question to everyone out there is, was 2021 the most uncomfortable year ever? It really was for me. And And I guess so that was a downside or personal struggle for me. But what's cool about it is that what came out of it was my insight for digging into mantras for 2022, and why I think 2022 is really going to be a breakout year for everyone. So, like I said, before we get there, I just want to remind everyone or take you through my year, and so we can get to this point where I discovered through my saxophone lessons. Yeah, I know I'm a sax nerd, but through my saxophone lessons that I decided to take, that I hadn't taken in about probably over 25 years, it really informed me and got me excited about mantras for 2022. So let's rewind a second and think about, I guess, early last year, what was going on. So, we were going into winter, the first full winter of the pandemic. When we knew about the pandemic, I guess, we kind of found out about it late, I guess, in mid-February 2020 or so. And so everyone was kind of nervous, and things were shutting down again. And, the prospects of my personal life weren't very good, because usually I travel in the winters. I like playing gigs and music, just all the stuff. I like going to conferences. There was no, tech conferences to go to. So all the things I liked to do and had built my life around, I really couldn't do in the early part of 21 or through most of 21. And it was a struggle. And so, since I had more time on my hands, I thought, well, maybe it's time to change my living circumstances. Maybe I'll take time to buy a house and change things up, because I've owned this, duplex for many years, I think about 16 years, and I had renters to manage and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, hey, maybe now's the time. I'll get rid of the duplex. I'll buy a new place, maybe, downsize a little bit, and things will be cool. So I dug into that. But again, trying to buy a house in a pandemic, during a pandemic, it's not the easiest thing to do. I had to get financing for the house. And for me, again, just everything I was doing was uncomfortable. I don't have a typical job. I don't have a, quote, monthly income that bankers can understand. So I had to find the right banker from bank to bank to bank, had to use a friend, et cetera, to try and get a asset-backed loan, which I did for the new house. Super nervous about buying the new house, having two mortgages for a while until I could sell the old house. Picking up, moving, packing, doing all that stuff. Super uncomfortable for weeks and months. Get to the new place. Then it's time for it's vaccine time. I think it was like end of March, April, something like that. Another uncomfortable thing. You got to decide whether you want the vaccine or not. And then, the vaccine's probably going to make you a little bit sick or whatever. So I had to go through that. Then during that whole thing, I had a health scare come up because I was doing some other testing for some other reasons, just based on some physicals that I had, and they found some things that were swelling, and my lymph nodes didn't look right, and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of extra tests I had to do. I had to do an upper GI, I had to do a lymph node biopsy, all this kind of stuff. The good news, as it turns out, is there was nothing major wrong. And it just turned out maybe the vaccine had some implications there of why things looked funky for a minute, but everything went away, and it's cool, but super uncomfortable. Anyways, in the middle of all this, I decided, hey, you know what? Since I have more time on my hands, there's no gigs, there's nothing else I can do. I'm going to take some saxophone lessons and dig back into trying to get better at music while I have the downtime, which I usually don't have. I'm usually learning tunes for gigs that are coming up and practicing for performances, and really not trying to stretch myself too much. But I thought, hey, now's the time. So I got together with my buddy Steve Kortyka, who fans of the podcast might know him. He was on episode 68, JJRR 68, when he was escaping from New York during the pandemic. We talked about how that disrupted his life and how the working musicians were readjusting to it all. And anyway, so I've been working with him, and the upside here, I guess, is what I'm really finally getting to, is that working with Steve, I started trying to learn new things on the horn. And, up until this point, probably for the last 25 years prior, I hadn't taken many lessons, and I was just focused on, fluidity and being in a flow state when I play. So, a lot of what I do is improvised. So the type of music that I play is a lot of jazz and blues and even some pop music. I'm an improviser, soloist guy, and sideman kind of person. Occasionally I run my own groups, but the emphasis is I like improvisation. I like soloing. And so you need to be in this flow state to do that so that you're really connected emotionally and it comes out. And so I've learned a few things over the years, but I never took that much time to really break it down and learn a lot of new things. And when you do that, it's very disruptive to your current playing. So hopefully you'll get the analogy here of what you need to do if you're going to reinvent something in your life. So there's going to be a little bit of a pain and struggle, and it's going to be super uncomfortable. And I knew this would happen, but I kind of forgot about it, and I didn't appreciate how much it would happen. But because I was learning new stuff, the only way to learn new things, especially for musicians out there, they know this, is that you have to break it down into really small pieces. You have to practice things super slow, and you have to repeat them many, many times. And what it boils down to is that you need to program your brain. You need to program your mind, program your body. Your mind needs to know it. Your body needs to feel it. And the only way that this can be done is through slow, repetitive practice. Slow, repetitive practice. So I'm going to give you an example here of... Sorry, I'm grabbing my horn here. Give you an example of something that I was learning that, is disruptive to how you normally think about it, disruptive to your normal flow state, and that the only way to learn it is to break it down, again, slow, repetitive practice, so that it becomes part of your flow state. It's another tool, essentially, once you learn it. But here's the example. I was working on diminished scales, let's say, recently. And I knew the diminished scale, it's a half whole. That's the definition of it for the musos out there. But I knew it in a linear way. So this is kind of like the normal way, or the common way you'd learn a new scale is you learn it where the notes are next to each other. So it would sound like this. So that's a linear scale, and you might recognize that, where the notes are kind of going up, and you go up, and then you go down. And that seems to flow, and it seems to make sense to the way your brain normally thinks, I guess. I don't know. But there's some flow and fluidity to it, so here you go. So I knew that. I could do that. But working with Steve, we stumbled upon some other pattern ideas and thought, like, hey, there's this one pattern that I think John Coltrane was most famous for incorporating into his playing, where he's jumping around and playing groups of notes that are separated by a major third. And it sounds a little bit different, even though it's the same notes of the scale. So that sounds like this. I'll play for you. Okay, so that's the pattern. And in order to learn that pattern, that sounds kind of fluid right now, but that's about as fast as I could play it. I mean, I can play the scalar version of it very quickly, but it's hard for me to play that different pattern quickly because it's not quite ingrained in me yet. I have to keep programming my body and mind to understand, here's how it goes. Now, it's even more of a challenge for me to play it. I played it going down. Let's say I can try it. Let me see if I can try and play it going up. Wait. Okay, so I'm struggling already. The point being, the only way I'm going to be able to master that is to do it slowly and repetitively until it starts to become second nature. So that's what I've been working on. It's been really a challenge to my mind to do that, and just as a discipline to do it. But I really see the benefits now, and it's given me this insight into digging into mantras. And so I'm like, and I don't know why this just dawned on me recently. I just was trying to figure out, what this kickoff episode should be about for 2022. And because of the gains that I've made in my saxophone playing and my understanding of music and different tools that I'm starting to incorporate into my playing, and the process of how to do that, okay, that's really the key, the process of how to do it, that's what's making me excited about the mantras. So, okay, so let's get to them finally, okay? So for 2022, I have 7 that I pulled out. I just like that number because that's the number I just happen to use for my 7 simple ways to prime your mind for reinvention. So that download that's available at the website, JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com. If you sign up for the mailing list, you'll get that special download. And in the download, it has a reference to this book. I'll mention it again, My Pocket Mantras. But it's really cool, and I'm really excited to dig into this, even though I found the book last year. I didn't mess around with it that much. But this year, I'm going to definitely be digging into it the next few months. And here's why. So, first of all, let's just dig in the definition of a mantra real quick. Okay, mantras are short, rhythmic statements that use positive and uplifting words to create a positive and uplifting mindset. Okay, I dig that. And you probably use mantras in your personal life, whether you know it or not, to hype yourself up or get yourself ready, or like, let's go. That's kind of a mantra. Just simple, but that does something for you, right? Well, here's kind of a more specific benefit description. The vibration that a mantra creates can change how you perceive your reality, shift your mindset, and create new positive beliefs about yourself. Even if you don't initially believe or feel the words of a mantra wholeheartedly, simply reciting it regularly can help your brain rewire your beliefs and change the way you view yourself. Let me say that again. Even if you don't initially believe or feel the words of a mantra wholeheartedly, simply reciting it regularly can help your brain rewire your beliefs and change the way you view yourself. That's stunning if you just kind of sit back and absorb what that's really telling you. And again, the reason why I know this to be true is because, music has shows me many things, but it's shown me again that, this repetitive, slow training of your mind, it can work wonders. And all of a sudden, it's when you understand how to program your mind, like I got that process from having to learn music, you can use that process, knowing the process works, right? You can use that process for anything. And you can use that process to really train your mind in different ways and to, get you onto a different plateau or level or breakout or reinvention that you're looking for. So I think that's pretty cool. And remember, this can happen in all these ways for you, right? It could be physical, just on a physical level. It can boost your concentration and focus, maybe even lower your heart rate or your blood pressure. Obviously, it can be mental, emotional. You can, relieve, feelings of stress, anxiety if you're, stressing out. And we've all had our fair share of that the last couple of years, right? And it can be spiritual, where you can really, go into different places in your mind and raise your level of consciousness. So I think it's pretty cool. So that's why I'm super excited to dig into all this stuff. So here we go. Here's the first mantra. I'm looking at what page it's on here if I'm a little distracted, but let me get to it. Okay, page 19. So the first mantra I have for you is a morning mantra. So you could say this to yourself in the morning. Obviously, you could say it to yourself at any time. But it is, today I feel energized and invigorated by life. That's it, just a few simple words. Today I feel energized and invigorated by life. So think about that. When you're waking up in the morning and you're laying in bed and you've hit snooze on your alarm the 3rd time and Maybe you're waiting for your coffee to be brewed automatically in the morning through your coffee maker or something, and you're like, you don't smell it yet, and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to get up, and it's winter. But if you said this to yourself, today I feel energized and invigorated by life. If you said it slowly and you repeated it, 4 or 5 times, maybe 10 times, today I feel energized and invigorated by life. Today I feel energized and invigorated by life. Today I feel energized and invigorated by life. I mean, for me there, by the 3rd time, I felt myself starting to smile a little bit in my mind, listening to the words. It was starting to put me into a happier place. Because, when you tell yourself the right story, it resonates. It puts you in a better place. So, really, this is a phenomenal insight to understand that listening to yourself talk this way to yourself and repeating it slowly really can change things for you. So that's number 1. A morning mantra. Today I feel energized and invigorated by life. And when you pick up this book, if you check it out, if you get into it, they have some descriptions of how many times to recite it and how this may help you. Kind of gives you a more of a larger description, but I'm going to go through these quickly just because it's the podcast here, and if you want to follow up, grab the book and check it out. Okay, let's move on. There's a couple, and they have a few different categories in the book here. So now I'm going to move on to a couple success mantras that I found that spoke to me. So I'm paging through here to find the right page because I've got it written down here. Okay. And one is, again, this is one of their success mantras, and I think there's 20, for all the categories, I believe there's 20 mantras in the book for each category. But all right, here it is. When I am true to myself, I align with my purpose. When I am true to myself, I align with my purpose. When I am true to myself, I align with my purpose. So, has anyone felt that out there? I know I was not, in certain aspects of my life for sure, I was super unaligned. I was very unconscious. I didn't know what I was doing early in my life. I'm still trying to figure it out as I go here, but when you are true to yourself, meaning like, wait a second, this is really who I am. I went through school and I got this fancy degree, or maybe I didn't go to school because I thought I had to, work on the farm with my family, but I'm really an academic guy, or whatever it might be. When you start moving towards who you really feel you are inside, when you really discover yourself and start moving in that direction, it's like this joy and happiness takes over. All your complaining starts to go away. You just get aligned. And I know you've probably felt that in small ways your whole life. Maybe you didn't pay attention to it. But if you start paying attention to it, I know it's going to be beneficial. So, and it can impact your success, as they say here. So this is a success mantra. When I am true to myself, I align with my purpose. I love that one. All right, let's go to the next success mantra here. And again, these are just categorized by this particular author. I'm sure you can interpret them and see them for yourself. But here's number 3. It's another success mantra. I give myself permission to succeed. I love this one. I give myself permission to succeed. So this one speaks to me a lot because just the where I grew up, the family I grew up in, the first job I had, there's certain cultural things there that it's sort of like, don't move too fast. How'd you get to be so smart or whatever? There's all this sort of feeling out there that you shouldn't be shining so bright, And you might get this message that it's not okay to, succeed ahead of others, for example, or ahead of people that are older than you, or ahead of people that have more experience than you. I think this is a challenge to a lot of people that, hey, I just happen to be more motivated, I happen to have more skills or whatever, but I'm a little bit shy about it because society says I'm not supposed to be in a certain place, or whatever it might be. But this is great. I give myself permission to succeed. So just give yourself permission. It's okay. It's really okay. And I've done that a lot for myself, and that goes against the grain a lot, especially with your peers, if your peers aren't of the same mindset. But I've given myself permission to succeed. I'm okay with it, I love that one. Okay, let's see, what are we on here? I think we're on the fourth one in my count here. And this one has to do with abundance. So I like this niche here. So, success is kind of an interesting term, but what does it mean? I like the idea of abundance, where you can have all things that you really need abundant in your life. There's enough for everyone. So this one is, here we go. I make room in my life to receive blessings of abundance. It seems simple. I make room in my life to receive blessings of abundance. But one of the key words in this one is to receive, right? So not everyone feels comfortable with receiving. And I know I had to learn this lesson, and one of the great things for me was working in the corporate world and learning about business and learning about this exchange and how to focus on a win-win type of relationship where everyone gets to receive something. Where it's like you're always, at least I was, the way I thought about the world was like I had to, in order to really receive, I had to really put out a lot, and I was very uncomfortable with receiving too much or my fair share or whatever that meant, But there's a blessing in just being able to receive this abundance that is in the world. And it's super abundance. And it can be surprising when it comes, where you're like, I'm used to working my butt off. How did I get to here where all this abundance is coming at me? And this will happen when you work hard and treat people right in your life. This abundance will start showing up, and you might feel super uncomfortable about it because you're like, I'm just used to not having a lot and never assumed I could get a lot, and I don't even know what to do with it. Well, this mantra here is to be okay with receiving it, because when you have this abundance, you can amplify it for others, right? You can give it right back, or you can do something with it, or you can have a resource, right? So going through life without a lot of resources, I don't think that's the best way to go, to me personally, but I like this one. I make room in my life to receive blessings of abundance. So if you said that to yourself 10 times in the morning, you might really start looking at your day a little bit differently and realize that you have so much abundance already, and that when people are there willing to help you, you'll be more open. Okay, so let's go to, I guess, this is number 5 here. We're going to go to the transformation. So there's a section here for mantras about transformation. And I thought, well, I can't overlook that section, This is the Reinvention Revolution, but for gosh sakes. All right, so let me find page 141, your transformation, 141. Okay, here we go. This one says, I trust that the universe will guide me to clarity. So this one is a little bit unusual. Not unusual, it's just one of the words in here, I don't like one of the words in here. I'll just have to be honest with you. This may be controversial for some, but I'll give you my thoughts on it. So it says, in the book here, it says, I trust that the universe will guide me to clarity. I would change one of those words, and I would say, I know that the universe will guide me to clarity. So I would swap out trust for know. I know that the universe will guide me to clarity. And here's why I say that. So words like trust and hope and belief. Those are words to me that are for politics, are for religion, are for influence. And at the end of the day, they're sort of like soft words that let you off the hook, that takes away your responsibility in some ways. You know, if I'm trusting, well, that means it might not happen. Could happen. I trust that it'll happen, but if it doesn't, it wasn't my fault. You see where I'm going with that? And so, through your experience, you know in your heart and your gut feeling, that's where your gut feeling comes from. That's the universe telling you which direction to go in, right? If you really got quiet and listened to yourself, that's why meditation works, right? The universe will show you the way. So I would swap that out with, I know that the universe will guide me to clarity. I know that the universe will guide me to clarity. That's a great one. Transformation. Okay, 145. Let's try to find the next one here. Okay, here it is. I'm ready to make changes in my life that are for my highest good. Oh, I love this one. I am ready to make changes in my life that are for my highest good. Have you ever said something like that to yourself? I'm ready to make changes for my highest good? That's interesting. Because I think people just think like, I think I need to make a change. This isn't working. And so they think about changing something, right? Like, I need a better diet. But you're thinking like, well, I'll just change for the moment. I'll lose a little bit of weight. It's not that big a deal. You're not putting that much on the line, right? You're just thinking, I need to change. I need a new job. This job sucks, and I burned some bridges, and I need to move on. But are you moving on for your highest good? That puts something else on the line, I think. And that tells your brain to be scanning the universe for something other than just a quick fix, right? So I'm ready to make changes in my life that are for my highest good. My highest good. I'm really curious to, this is one I'm probably going to use a lot and repeat to myself a lot, because I like efficiency. So I'm not a guy that's like, I was in the tech world for many years, engineering world for many years, and they want you to work 80 hours a week and for X amount of dollars, whatever, and that's cool, but where's the efficiency? I'll work 80 hours a week if I'm going to make $100 million a year. So, I have high expectations. But if I'm just making a regular salary, I'm not working 80 hours a week. There's no efficiency in that, And this speaks to efficiency, I think. I'm ready to make changes in my life that are for my highest good. So if you're going to make a change, make it for your highest good. You're going to go through that uncomfortable phase anyways. Yeah, I like this one. Okay, this is my last one for transformation. And remember, there's 20 of these things for transformation for all these different areas in here. I'm just picking a few out to share with everybody here. Okay, here it is. I am transforming my mind and body in miraculous ways. I am transforming my mind and body in miraculous ways. I like this one because when I say it gives me like this boost of energy or something almost. I'm transforming my mind and body in miraculous ways. So like I know when I'm putting in the work on my horn to learn different patterns, to get better at playing, to get better in shape, I know that the work is paying off. I know the work pays off, right? And it feels good. And when you're training your mind in this way, when you're repeating these things, think about this. I am transforming my mind and body in miraculous ways. Doesn't that, it's sort of like foreshadowing, where it's like, when you're watching a movie and they put like a little part of the plot in there that is, it kind of gets you to stick around because like, I want to see what's going to happen at the end, right? They're on this journey. I want to see what happens when they finally meet at the end of the journey. That's what this sort of feels like to me. I'm transforming my mind and body in miraculous ways. Really? Well, I want to see what those are. I want to find out what they are. I want to feel what I'm going to feel like when I'm miraculous, right? I am transforming my mind and body in miraculous ways. I love it. It's awesome. Man. Okay. I feel like I just want to like go start repeating this to myself 100 times right now, but I'm going to continue on with the podcast, okay? All right, so that was 7 mantras that I gave you out of this book, My Pocket Mantras, again by Tanaz Chubb. It's on the website, JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com. Go to the resources, buy it from Amazon, okay? Reciprocate the love that I'm sending you right now. That's all I'm saying, okay? Because it's going to be good for you, and you're going to enjoy it. And it's not expensive. I mean, it's, I don't know, $12, $14, who knows what, I can't remember what the price of it is, but it's cheap. Anyways, okay, I got one more for bedtime. So this is the bonus. So I gave you 7, but plus 1. So this is the one. This is the bonus that I mentioned. And it is, I release the events of the day and forgive myself and others. I release the events of the day and forgive myself and others. So I think this one's really hip because when you have a tough day or you get in an argument or something depressing happens or you lose a customer or whatever, just something traumatic happens, I know for me, it can take me days, it can take me weeks to get over it. Days and weeks to get over it. Stupid. I know this about myself. I try to distract myself. This is interesting. I try to distract myself when this happens. Like I'll go to the gym more, or I'll try to go out with friends or whatever, like to get myself back in a happy mood or whatever it is, right? Because I'm holding on to it. I'm holding on to whatever the trauma that happened that day. But I like this one. I release the events of the day and forgive myself and others. Why haven't I been telling myself this for years? That's awesome. So this is kind of you say it at bedtime. Like at the end of the day, I release the events of the day and forgive myself and others. So I'm curious to try this out and see how this works on my mind again. I think you'll start the next day with a cleaner slate. It's interesting. All right. Well, that's all the mantras that I have for you out of this book, My Pocket Mantras. But I have a super extra bonus for you, and I remember that I think I said it again at the kickoff of 2021 and maybe even of 2020 that don't ever forget that reinvention is greater than resolution, right? So this is not a resolution for 2022. We're not doing the New Year's resolution thing. But we're focusing on reinvention. So remember, reinvention greater than resolution. So that's another mantra. So that's my mantra that I came up with. And in saying that, you can come up with your own mantras, based on this idea, right? To move in whatever direction that you want to move in. The key is to focus on the process, right? For me, life is about the process almost. And so if you find the right phrase, repeat the right phrase to yourself, repeat it in the morning, repeat it in the evening, repeat it when you go to meditate. So this is what I'm going to try, again, process-wise. I like meditation. I like trying to clear my mind, but I'm going to remember to use those mantras when I meditate. So I might take like a minute and just repeat them to myself slowly. Really understand the words, really visualize what that phrase is saying to yourself, right? Again, because you're programming your mind, what it will program your mind. So I'm going to incorporate some of these things just process-wise when I meditate. So it's just another reason to go for it. So, hey, there you go. it's 2020, gang. It's time to move on and get fired up for it because, again, I think this is going to be a breakout year for everybody. So keep that in mind, and what's going to help you break out are these mantras. So, again, if you want to check out the book, My Pocket Mantras by Tanaz Chubb, go to the website, JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com, and you can find it there on Amazon. Okay, let's go, 22. Let's go. Thank you for listening to Jim Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast. If you want to hear more, join our mailing list at JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com. See you next time, and remember, the revolution has just begun. So dig in, embrace the process of reinvention, and start realizing the success you've always dreamed of. Hey, revolutionaries, if you enjoyed today's episode and today's guest, let them know by commenting on their Facebook page, finding their Twitter handle or Instagram feed, and letting them know you heard them on Jim Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast, and tell them what you got out of the episode, what you really liked, or how they inspired you. I know they would get a kick out of it, and will help others find the same value that you found.